Hey, this is Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah, Sammy. Oh my. Say hi to the people, Sammy. Yeah, there. Say hi to those people. Okay, me and Sammy Davis Jr. are going to teach you how to play root fifth patterns on your guitar today in the key of G. All right? So you got to get down now, buddy. Oh, I love you too. But you got to get down. You got to get down. Okay, thank you. All right. So in the key of G, root and fifth patterns. This is more or less a review for my students who already know how to do this, but want a little extra. But I'll put it on YouTube just in case anybody else can pick up a little tip from it. So in the key of G, we're going to talk about the G chord. Make sure you know that. Could be the 4-fingered version or the 3-fingered version, makes no difference. We're going to play a C chord, D. The same patterns I'm going to play for D will apply to D7. Also, I'll talk about E minor and A minor because they might pop up occasionally in the key of G as well. So here we go. In G, our bass note is the lowest note of the chord. On the 6th string, that's your G. And alternating bass notes are usually going to the 5th of the chord, which just means it's the 5th note in the scale. It could be played above the root or it could be played below the root depending on where it's available on the instrument and where it sounds best. So obviously we can't go down to a D, our lowest note is an E, so we have to go up to the D on the 4th string. So we're simply going to pluck out the 6th string on the higher strings and string down and up, and then what might take a little bit of practice is getting onto the 4th string down up, and make sure you're consistent about hitting those notes. You don't want to sometimes be hitting root and then some other note. You want to be really consistent about 6th string, 4th string. Okay, so again on the G, 6th string, 4th string, that's the root in the 5th. On the C chord, this will be one of the few chords where you're going to have to change your fingering to reach the 5th. On the C chord, the 5th is G, but that's too high to sound like a bass note, so we're going to have to play our low G down here. What I do, and what I think most people do, is play the 5th string, that's your root, and then on beat 3, hop your 3rd finger over to your 6th string. And for me, that's just fine, and I've seen lots of other people do that, and that's fine too. 5th string, 6th string. Now, I've also seen this, and I've seen lots of people very successful with this idea. Take your pinky finger, put it on the 5th string 3rd fret, where your 3rd finger normally is. The 3rd finger now can reach over to the 6th string, and then you can just leave everything there and not have to move your finger back and forth. I don't normally do it this way, but it works fine. No real major difference there. On D, let's move on to D. The bass note's on your 4th string. That's your open D. And again, the 5th is up here on a high A. Not a very bassy sound, right? So we're going to play low A. Our open 5th string is an A. So it'll be 4th string, 5th string. All right. Same thing would work for D7. For E minor, our bass note's going to be, obviously our bass note's going to be an E or low E, and our 5th is going to be B, 1, 2. Actually, I guess with the key of G, we should probably play an F sharp, shouldn't we? There we go. That's what we need. So that's the root on the 6th string, and then the 5th on the 5th string. Now A minor is a little special, and A major will be the same way when we cover that. But it's one of the few chords where I feel like you have a choice. You can either go down to the 5th. So that's the 5th string for the root, 6th string for the 5th. Or you could go up to the 5th and go up to the 4th string. They're both E's. So either one would work. Here. So here's how I decide which one I'm going to play. It's not random. I actually have sort of an idea. It depends on what the next chord is. So if I were going to play a lower chord, like let's say E minor to, let's say, G, then I'd probably play the lower note. I'm saying, did I say E minor? A minor to G. So I go. Because this low E and that G are on the same string, they're kind of close together. But if the next one was going to be a D, I wouldn't want to play this low E and then a high D. You can kind of tell those two don't flow together. But if I play the higher E on the fourth string, because I'm thinking of these notes stepping into the next one, right? E, D, A minor, E in the bass, fifth on the fourth string, then fourth string for the root. That would sound much better than, for example, in my opinion. So, I mean, it works, but I like having the bass notes move stepwise if possible. So that's it. Sammy abandoned us. I hope that helped as a little review, or maybe for the first time learning where your roots and fifths are in the key of G. One last thing, actually, let me do this. I love to teach this with a song, and the song that I usually do is This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie. And it's very simply, it's C for 2 bars, G for 2 bars, D or D7, your choice, for 2 bars, and back to G for 2 bars, and then the whole thing repeats. So it's this land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. There you go. So a little Woody Guthrie with the root and the fifth. Perfect accompaniment for that song. And maybe in another video I can show you some little walking bass lines or bass runs that you can add to that as well. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time.